and thank you for your interest in the Executive Policy and Leadership PhD Executive Cohort Program at the University of Minnesota. My name is Dr. Katie Bickel. I am the Executive Director of Educational Leadership, and I also co-coordinate the Executive Cohort Program for our PhD students. We're really thrilled that you are taking the time to investigate our program. I'm going to be sharing with you today a 3,000-foot view of our program that includes coursework, the exam process, and the general schedule of the program. And then I'm going to have an opportunity at the end to leave you with an email address in case there are any questions that you may have. We are happy to respond to those or set up an opportunity to jump on a one-on-one Zoom call. So just to begin with, what are the goals of our program? It's our intention to provide a doctoral experience that encourages and develops these strong education system leaders. Most of our students come from either K-12 or the nonprofit sector, maybe state government, and we know that you're looking to address complex issues that are really, in the end, trying to ensure equitable opportunity for all students, whether it's in the K-12 setting or higher education setting. We want to, of course, ground our students in bodies of research and research methods that are going to be useful to them, not only in their own maybe work worlds, but in their own pursuit of their own research and dissertation work. And then we hope that we're offering a curriculum that's establishing sort of those very foundational understandings of systems, leadership dynamics, the realities of race, power, politics in schools and organizations. And then we want to think about what is the role of research in educational change, and then hopefully innovation and even improvement. So our PhD program milestones start with coursework. Then we move into the exam processes. We have a written exam and an oral exam. Then students propose their study. That's called the prospectus. And then they move into the research and dissertation phase of the program. I'm going to take a little time to talk through each one of these so you have a sense of what they are. So our Executive Cohort PhD program is a total of 73 credits. There are 31 credits that are required, and those are all in the program core. Beyond that, there are 24 thesis credits. Those cover the time that you're engaged in conducting research and writing your dissertation. The balance of those credits, 18 of which are considered elective credits. So we do an analysis when students are accepted to the program. How many credits might they be transferring in to our program from previous graduate work? That's done with input from the faculty at the university. Some students might be eligible to transfer in the full 18, and some might not transfer in all of that and would need to take a few elective credits to get to that 73. This is what the overall program looks like. We of course, are showing you here the completion of the program in 4 years. In the 10 years I've overseen these cohorts, I would say about a third of the students finish in 4 years, about a third of the students finish in 5 years, and the balance of those students finish somewhere in 6 to 7 years. But just to get a sense of how the program lays out. If you look across the top, in year 1, you'll notice in that upper left-hand corner, that's fall semester. Students actually take 7 credits during the fall semester. That first course, doctoral seminar, is a 1-credit pass-fail course. I actually teach it, and it's really about how students become effective doctoral students. You will also be taking inquiry strategies, which is a survey of the different types of methods and research that are used. And then you'll take a historical course that's also deeply based in analysis that really talks about how do we think about the interlocking systems of oppression that we function within every day, but we're looking at it from a historical perspective to now. In the spring semester, that's when students take their first quantitative measurement course. They also take a course in community school relations to think about justice-centered change. There is a summer course in year 1, and that is about research design for educational policy. So that gets into how we're thinking about designing research. In year 2, we begin with what we call our Innovative Systems Thinking course, and that is a deep look at the multitude of theoretical frameworks that may be used eventually in a study. So that could be discrete or CRT, et cetera. So we're going to take a look at a plethora of those frameworks. And then in that fall, students also take a doctoral seminar, which is a writing-based course to really help students get ready for and drive them towards the written prelim exam, which I'll talk about in just a moment. In the spring, that's when students take Introduction to a Qualitative Research course, and then also a Leading Org Change course, so a theory to practice course. That would then conclude the end of the required or core courses in the cohort and move students into the examination processes, their research and analysis, and then of course moving towards what would be the oral defense and then graduation. Let me tell you a little bit more about those exam processes now. But before I do, let me tell you when courses meet, sorry. So courses traditionally meet every other Thursday, or I should say 9 times during a semester. So traditionally, courses at the university meet once a week over the 18 weeks of a semester. We've designed the Executive PhD cohort where they meet 9 times. In semester 1, however, students do come to campus the Wednesday before the Thursday courses 4 times for that 1 credit doctoral seminar with myself. You can see the layout there for the fall of 25. So we have one course that meets in the morning, 8:30 to 12:30, and then we have a second course that meets in the afternoon, 1:30 to 5:30. You'll note there's an hour break in there. You'll also note that in the fall of 25, there's the bolded Tuesday. There's one time where the cohort meets on a Tuesday instead of the traditional Thursday. Let's now talk about those exam processes. So the written exam is there to help students develop actually their ability to question an issue or problem or topic. We're really analyzing, can you thoroughly analyze and use the literature in a particular area to form arguments? We're also looking to see, are you able to do a scholarly synthesis of that? And then is there a doctoral level skill in writing? So to get to the written exam, students actually complete a proposal. It's about 750 to 1,000 words that's submitted to the faculty. We review that to say, yep, we think this student is ready to engage in the written exam, or we think the student needs a little bit more time and preparation to do so. Once the student is approved for the written exam, they have 3 months or a 3-month window to write that paper. That is to be no more than 25 pages. There's 2 times during the academic year when those 3-month windows exist. That's from May to August or November to February. The written exam is then evaluated by 2 faculty members. The outcome of that exam is either a pass, a significant revise, or a fail. I say significant revise because everyone's going to get feedback and have to do some revisions, but a significant revise involves a specific timeline. If a student were to fail the exam the first time, they would have one more opportunity to try and pass that exam again. The next exam is what we call the oral exam. And that's intended to demonstrate a command of the research literature relative to your eventual dissertation project. So the oral exam is a committee of 4 faculty members. It's about 2 hours. It begins with a presentation by the student regarding the literature and their eventual research questions. And then there's dialogue or discussion with the committee about that written paper that you've submitted. And then the outcomes of that exam, there's a vote, and that is either pass or fail. Following the oral exam, we then move into what we call the prospectus or the dissertation proposal. That's when you propose your study to the committee for feedback. So this is not an exam, but it is a meeting with your committee. And this is where you would lay out the plan for your dissertation study. So you're going to talk about what's the rationale for my study, what's the purpose behind it, what's the theoretical framing that I'm going to be using, what are my questions, what's my study design? Am I using quantitative methods or qualitative methods, or is it going to be a mixed methods study? Then we talk about, well, what are my data collection methods within that study design, and where am I collecting data from, which is my sample. Once you have determined and sort of gotten the okay from your committee to go ahead and start conducting your research, that's when you begin what we would say the research and dissertation process. So this is a dissertation is your contribution to knowledge and practice, and it's going to hopefully focus on a local problem of national and international significance, and it needs to be tied in some way to educational leadership or policy or system improvement. It's definitely going to be deeply rooted in racial equity, anti-racism, understandings of power and privilege as we think about schooling and systems today. As I already mentioned, it could be quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods. And generally speaking, a dissertation has 5 chapters. So chapter 2, the literature review, you'll probably hear we've been talking about through this process already. That really comes from your written exam, is revised again for your oral exam, and that really is the basis of chapter 2. Chapter 1 is again back to that idea of purpose and significance, why this topic is important and why you're taking it up. Chapter 3 is a description of the methods that you would use in your study. Chapter 4 is a description of the findings from your gathering of data and analysis. Then chapter 5 is what is commonly referred to as the discussion. And this is where we would hear things like, what do you think are the implications for either the field, further research, practice, etc. There are many supports that are available to students in our program. Myself and Dr. Peter Demarath are what are considered sort of the program advisors. Some students have sort of, I think, affectionately referred to me as sort of the guidance counselor of the PhD program. I'm here to make sure that you know what to register for when, that you've got the forms turned in that you need to have turned in on time, etc. Dr. Hernandez helps on the backside. He's our program coordinator to make sure that all of those forms are getting submitted and getting you through the right processes to the graduate school. During year 2 of coursework is when we assign what we call the dissertation advisor. So that's your research advisor that's going to help move you through the last 2 years of the program. You'll all have a committee that is made up of your dissertation advisor and 3 other faculty members that we will help you choose along the way. And then, as in any good educational program, we have a handbook. But our handbook is really filled with not only the rules and policies and forms, but some guidance on how to make sure you're making good progress. Speaking of good progress, there are basically 3 big rules to remember in a PhD program such as ours. 1, students have to maintain continuous enrollment. That means you have to be registered in the fall and the spring of each semester. You do not necessarily have to be registered in the summer following the first year of coursework. Of course, you have to maintain that good milestone progress. And that's something that we really help make sure that you're able to do. And then we have what we call our 8-year time limit. So from when you enter the program, you have 8 years until you would actually finish the program. So in the fall of 25, the cohort that will be entering in the fall of 25, they would have until 2033 to complete the program. Some practical advice. We know that folks coming into our executive PhD program from past history are really people that are pretty important. They have demanding jobs and demanding schedules. And while we recognize that, we also want to make it clear that we've designed the program and the schedule in such a way that acknowledges that, but that when you're with us, that you're with us, that you remember that you're a student. We would love for you to embrace that opportunity, and that when you're with us, you're able to really be present. I will say, because the courses only meet 9 times, attendance is a non-negotiable for our program. You do need to find routine to be able to get the work done. We always think it's a really good idea to proactively communicate with your family, your employer. Maybe you have employees that you're overseeing, so they know when you're gone, what that means, etc. I often have students say to me, "Well, what does sort of work-life school balance look like?" And when folks come into the program who have completed, they say, there's not a lot of balance during a PhD program. I mean, yes, you're juggling things, but it is an intense number of years, and so we just feel like it's fair to acknowledge that up front. We think it's really important to talk to other people, right? Talk to your dissertation advisor, talk to us as your program advisors, talk to other people who have been through either our program or other doctoral programs before, and get their advice and thoughts about things like setting personal deadlines. And when you do that, share that with others first. You have some sort of shared accountability. And then it seems like a blinding flash of the obvious, but it's really important to celebrate milestones along the way. A PhD program is it's like a marathon, right? And when you get to mile 10 or the end of the coursework, you want to make sure that you're taking time to breathe and celebrate that with those in your life who are important to you. So there are, I'm sure, numerous questions that we have likely left you with as a result of this quick video presentation. I would really encourage you to reach out, send an email, ask us about those questions. There's a general email address there, olpd@umn.edu, or my email address, kpichel@umn.edu. Again, I'm happy to follow up via email. We could schedule a Zoom call, a phone call, etc. Once again, we're really glad that you took a few minutes out of your day to explore the possibility of the Executive Cohort PhD program at the University of Minnesota.